What is going on, everybody? It is Dylan with Astrodfs bringing you a brand new video. Today's video, I'm going over Week 9's Monday Night Showdown between the Ravens and the Saints. If you're new to the channel, you've not been here before, what I basically do is go over matchups, prices, injuries, and in opportunities by using both DraftKings and Fanduel, two most popular DFS sites, and just go over maybe some opportunities that, hey, maybe this guy for this price is too much on DraftKings. On FanDuel, he's too cheap, and vice versa. So, kind of all over the place. I don't really have a whole plan going into this, so let's just get right into it. So, on this slate on DraftKings, we have 3 players above 10K. It's seeming like we're hitting that lately. With Mark Andrews being out, Gus Edwards probably being out, we have Chris Olave is the only player from 10,000 to about 8,000. Like, Kenyon Drake is the next at 7,200. Then there's Chris Olave, and then there's Andy Dalton. That is, I don't think we've seen this in quite some time. I know on Thursday, our oddball was seeing the Eagles defense be probably the most expensive we've seen in a very long time. And they did not put up points if you did end up playing them, which I know a lot of people did. And then on FanDuel, I looked at some of the prices before the other day, and it is crazy the opportunities on FanDuel. Let me just say that. So you get Lamar, Kamara, Dalton, 15, 15, 17. Kind of expensive trying to stack the 3. You get Olave here. And here's where it already gets interesting. So FanDuel has Devin Duvernay. They have Olave. Olave is the 4th. Yet again, it's same 4. But then they have Duvernay. They have Taysom Hill, Justin Tucker, Baltimore's defense, and then Kenyon Drake. Kenyon Drake down to 9,000 on FanDuel. On DraftKings, he's 72. I like his price at both, but I really like it on FanDuel. Like, if you don't want to play one of these 3, which is perfectly fine, there's value other places. Kenyon Drake at 9,000 on FanDuel is already a crazy value. DraftKings, he's good. Like, you're missing Andrews. Michael Thomas is done for the year, unfortunately. Gus Edwards probably not going to play. That's one of the very few question marks going into this slate. Is Gus Edwards playing? It doesn't appear so. It's a complete different story if Gus Edwards is in on the running back for Baltimore. If Edwards is in, it changes a lot for the likeness of Edwards versus Drake. I still think Drake is a really good play. But Gus Edwards has been very efficient when he has been healthy and playing. And then on FanDuel, after Kenyon Drake, you get Will Lutz, the Saints defense, Jameis Winston, Juwan Johnson, Jarvis Landry, and this is what I'm talking about. The pricing on FanDuel allows you to do so much, I guess. Jarvis Landry at 7,500, questionable to play. Isaiah Likely, 7,500. It's a very bad matchup. Very, very, very bad matchup. But 7,500. Landry's out. Shaheed has been a guy that's stepped up for the Saints lately. Not in a huge, like, oh man, you have to have him on the field, but he's made plays. Justice Hill down here at 7K. If Edwards is out, Justice Hill and Kenyon Drake are your 2 main running backs. And then you get Marquez Callaway, Traquan Smith, like 6,500. If Jarvis is out, 6,500. Now, granted, Baltimore is going to have the healthiest defensive back that they've had since the beginning of the season. Peters, Humphrey, Hamilton, all of them good to go. So it does raise questions. And then Deshaun Jackson, this is news to watch, 6,000 on FanDuel. May or may not play. Just look for that news. Jordan Howard just recently brought into the practice squad. I don't think they're going to activate him for this game. Watch that as well. I doubt they do. Josh Oliver, like I said, a very bad matchup for Baltimore tight ends. But 5,500, Mike Davis, so on and so on. I think the only other name is Dwayne Washington here. It's probably the only other name that we're looking at for there. And then DraftKings, let's go back to this. So, like I said, Kenyon Drake is completely different on sites. After him, you get Duvernay. Jameis Winston there. Isaiah Likely at 58. That's a fair price for him. Denard Robinson at 56. That's a good price. Questionable. That's one of the things you're watching out for on the Baltimore side, because if he is out, I do believe we're probably going to see the $200 Deshaun Jackson, which then becomes a value. Obviously, Devin Duvernay is my guy for Baltimore. But after that, Jarvis Landry, 52. Shaheed, 5,000. Ravens defense, you get a $1,200 difference between Saints and Baltimore. Marquez Callaway, Juwan Johnson. The kickers, Troycon Smith, you're getting a $1,200 discount between Callaway and Smith if you like Smith. Justice Hill there at 22. Troutman down at 1,800. Mike Davis, Josh Oliver. And keep going down. It's basically the injury news that we're waiting for, and we won't get it until tonight. Gus Edwards being doubtful. Then we like Kenyon Drake. Justice Hill becomes a play. If Denard Robinson is out, Devin Duvernay is definitely one of those guys. Proch is 3,800. It's just too much for me to take on a talent like him. No offense to him. And then Deshaun Jackson at 200. Wherever I did end up passing him or not passing him. So that's a value. So let's go over now. We talked about players. We talked about prices. We talked about injuries. Now let's talk about plays. So obviously Lamar loses his best weapon to Mark Andrews. Bateman, we've been hoping to see that connection. Hurt his rookie year. Hurt again this year. Out. So what does that leave us with Lamar? He gets Kenyon Drake. Kenyon Drake's done, I think, what all Baltimore fill-in running backs do. They fill in. Like, going to Baltimore, you get a great opportunity for a scheme that fits you. No matter who the running back is, it seems to always fit that running back. So having Lamar lose Andrews is huge. But if you go back and look in, I think 2020 was the last time we seen Lamar without Mark Andrews, and he still found success. Granted, I think it was against the Cowboys. So it didn't really matter that much because the Cowboys sucked in 2020. No offense to Cowboys fans. But obviously, like, Lamar is Baltimore. He is their offense. Whether he scores big or not, he is their offense. So if he's playing bad, they're playing bad. If he's playing good, like, you're going to get a lot of points out of him, especially on a night like tonight. And then you get Alvin Kamara on the Saints. Like, I'm perfectly fine of locking both these guys in 100% in my lines tonight. If you're playing a minimal, let's just say 5-10 lines, you're going to want both of them. Like, the only way these guys, in my opinion, don't pay off tonight is if one of them gets banged up. Kamara just being utilized a lot lately. I mean, we can see the volume in the pass game finally be there. That's what we wanted. Like, week 1 against Atlanta scared us, banged up week 2, and then just 6 or more targets since then. Getting the touchdowns too. Like, didn't have a touchdown until last week, gets 3. So yeah, those are my two guys. Andy Dalton's a big question mark. You're asking to pay up a lot for Andy Dalton, who is facing a Baltimore secondary who's the healthiest it's been in quite some time. It seems like someone's always banged up on that secondary. We really haven't seen him and Michael. I don't believe we've seen him and Michael Thomas together. Could get help with Jarvis Landry. But it just scares me paying $10,000 and on Fanduel paying $15,000 for Andy Dalton, who, granted, the matchup is good, but is he going to pay off? Like, are we not going to see, if he starts to be shaky, Jameis Winston? Like, Dalton didn't look bad last week. Like, you go back and look against Vegas, 24-0. You don't need to play Jameis. Against Arizona, I mean, that first half looked good. So what if he looks bad and you have Jameis Winston there? And then to counter that, let's not forget about Taysom Hill at 6,400. Like, he is just one of those guys. He is a great showdown player to have because, granted, you're not expecting a 4-touchdown game out of Taysom Hill by any means. But But if he gets you one of these games where he's 48 passing yards, 3 carries, 9 yards, get you 10 fantasy points, I mean, that's not necessarily bad. Granted, I don't love that price point at 6,400, and at Fanduel it's 10.5. So, but he's one of those plays. So that's my question mark for Andy Dalton. Now, obviously, Chris Olave is the number one receiver on that team, whether Jarvis comes back or not. Highest targeted guy, regardless about Peters and Humphrey. They play well. It's just Chris Olave is very, very talented here. I do believe Baltimore can stop him. They are capable of it. But I just like him a lot in this slate. 8,600. He's definitely on my radar. On FanDuel, 13,000. So if you're not playing Andy Dalton, I would say you like Kamara and you like Olave, because Olave gets those receptions. He gets the bonus for receptions that Dalton doesn't, and his yards points are different. So Olave is definitely a play there for me. And then Devin Duvernay at 6,800 stepped up. Like, he has been, his numbers don't show how much he's stepped up, but he's stepping up a lot for Baltimore. It seems like they want to get him utilized. With Bateman being out, they need a number one guy. Devin Duvernay is not a wide receiver 1. He's probably not even a wide receiver 2, and no offense to him. It's just they haven't proven it yet, but they are utilizing him a lot. In a game like tonight where defenses might stand out and play well, Duvernay is going to be a guy that gets volume. Isaiah Likely, I mentioned I've been an Isaiah Likely fan since he was drafted to Baltimore. It confused me, but I knew that if there was a situation like tonight where Mark Andrews is going to be out, someone like Isaiah Likely will get a really good opportunity to show how talented he is. We've seen bits and pieces of it. People start to know his name now, and he's out on that radar. 5,800 making his first start, and he's got probably the worst matchup that he can ask for in the New Orleans Saints. 5,800, I mean, regardless, they use Mark Andrews a lot, so Isaiah Likely will get volume. It's just what he does with that volume. If the Showdown cracks down on him being on primetime. Denard Robinson has a good matchup if he plays at 5,600. I'd go Drake, I'd go Likely, I'd go Duvernay. I'd stay away from Denard Robinson. If your salary doesn't allow you to get to Isaiah Likely, like you're very close, then yeah, Denard Robinson is definitely, or Demarcus Robinson, I apologize, is definitely a play for you. Jarvis Landry, if he plays, I would love to see Jarvis Landry and Olave on the field. I'm waiting to see Jarvis Landry go back to his once great days. Other than that, plays for me, the Ravens defense, the Saints defense. I know what Lamar is capable of, but we also know how the season is this year, to where I don't really necessarily think defenses are playing outstanding. I think it's just offenses are playing so poor. Being without two of his top guys and Andrews being one of them, you have that possibility. You have the possibility of it being a 2022 NFL game. That's just the reality of it. On paper, with Marcus Lattimore out, with how good Lamar is, with how efficient Andy Dalton has been the last 2 weeks, should be a really good game. But there is that chance. Both those defenses, and then Deshaun Jackson, like I said, he is a value for me on DraftKings. FanDuel, you get so much value. Even Will Lutz and Justin Tucker, both of those guys are in play. I mean, you see a game like the Rams and Buccaneers, and the kickers win that game. Like, I don't think the defense has played amazing. It just offenses are playing piss poor, in my opinion, and that's just how it is. FanDuel, you get a ton of value. Jarvis Landry 7,500, Isaiah Likely 7,500. The wide receivers, Marquez Callaway, Traquan Smith, both at 6,500. Deshaun Jackson at 6,000. So towards the end, I always try to put in a line, see what we could do just off the top of the head. So let's put Lamar in. Let's put Kamara in. Really like Kenyon Drake and his price. That fits our pay. Let's go down here and see if we could find anybody we like. Let's just say Jarvis Landry. Gives us 11,000, and we're able to afford Duvernay. So no Olave. So let's see if we could switch things up. What could we do if we put Olave in there? Not really much of anything. So we wouldn't be able to play that. But let's say for that, let's put Olave in there. Let's not put Kenyon Drake. What can we do with that? Let's put Traquan Smith in there. That gives us 8,000, and we could play Jarvis, something like that. So obviously it's an overstack on Saints, so switch it up. We'll just put Isaiah Likely in there. It's not beautiful, but that's just, it's not necessarily something I run always when I do that line off the top of my head. I just try to see some of the players that I really like at the top and see what you're capable of doing. So on a slate like this, let's go Kamara as a captain. Doesn't leave us with a lot. Let's go Lamar. 20,000 for 4 spots. So let's say just for fun, just to see what we're capable of doing, let's put Sean Jackson in here. By all means, I don't think it's an amazing play. And let's go Justin Tucker. That gives us 8,000. Let's go Chris Olave, 75. And you get to pick Duvernay, Kenyon Drake. We'll pick Duvernay. So something like that. So obviously, Sean Jackson, you're asking for a lot. You're asking for him to even be active and play and get volume, anything like that. It's just an example for you guys, so you could pretty much see of where you might be when you start making your line. So I hope you guys did enjoy the video. Thank you guys for all the support lately. Our views have been up. Starting to get comments and subs and stuff like that, so I do appreciate it. If you guys did like it, just please leave a like and subscribe. That helps me know that you guys actually do enjoy these videos that I make. Unfortunately, won't have another video out until Friday going over the main slate. I apologize. It's just how my work schedule is. I can't really do much about it, so look for the next video on Friday. If you guys want to go back and watch any of my other videos where I talk about some of the plays and then see how that did, you can always do that as well. And if you guys want to join us, the link for that will be in the description down below. And I will see you guys in the next one.